The first game on the slate is going to be Saturday at 10 Eastern. Nuggets are a 2.5-point favorite. Totals at 224.5. This is going to be a star-studded series, guys. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Jokic. Denver gets home court advantage. Andy Lang. There's so many props available for this with all of the stars in it. Any initial thoughts as we look at this game out west?
Yeah, I think Phoenix struggles. They got handed a gift, and that's the gift of the Paul George and Kawhi not being there. And even then, I still didn't think they were as dominant as they could have been. They are running the tightest rotation you could possibly run. I mean, it is a few guys doing all of the scoring, and they literally are one injury away from being, well, the Clippers. So I think Denver's depth is going to be a real problem for them. I did not like the defense on the perimeter for Phoenix. It's just too much to ask Devin Booker and Chris Paul and Kevin Durant to do all of that on offense and then somehow try and play great defense. I think Jamal Murray continues his really good run in the playoffs. I think Porter could have a really nice run. I think he could do a lot of damage to Kevin Durant on defense just by making Durant work as hard as he does. And then, of course, Megan, we're still getting plus 160 on Jokic, triple-double. I mean, this guy's, it's 2-1. You just play Jokic, triple-double. I swear, I could just do that I could do no more bets for the rest of the NBA playoffs and just do that, and I will probably come out ahead. I guess the other one, it's as square as it here. I even have a prop for this one. Whenever I do a square bet, here's your incoming square. Here's the incoming square play. I mean, Devin Booker over his points, rebounds, and assists. They keep putting this at 40.5. The guy can go over with just his points like he did the other night. He's involved in the rebounding. He's involved in the assists. So I'm certainly not going to be taking an under on Devin Booker anytime soon. I think for this series, though, I will focus in on Jamal Murray, and I will keep going back to Jokic. So I may take the first game to see how everything plays out, but I like Denver in this series. I think Phoenix is going to run out of steam. I think Chris Paul is going to end up being a real liability on defense. And I think this Denver team is way better than the Clippers team that we saw in the first round.
Jokic nearly averaged a triple-double in the regular season. Andy, I've backed you multiple times with this prop, and it's cashing me out all the time. Jokic triple-double, it sounds crazy to say that's a lock, but it feels like it at this point. Both the Suns and the Nuggets were able to get the victories against their first-round opponents in just 5 games. Now we're up for a bit of a challenge. Steve Merril, how do you expect this one to play out? Series starts off out in Denver.
Well, we talked, when the playoffs began, that aren't we glad the postseason's here because all that regular season craziness of players being injured, sitting out, uncertainty is all done. And of course, it's been nothing like that. The playoffs are just regular season part 2 with, as Andy said, the Clippers are shorthanded with Kawhi and George out. Giannis gets hurt 10 minutes into game 1. The Bucks were a 1-13 favorite to win that series. Fall. By the way, the Heat were 50-1 to win 4-1 at some sports books. If you're bold enough to take that, you had a nice payday. It's been crazy, and to make it even crazier, not only are the Bucks the overall favorite at less than 3-1 out, but don't forget the Suns as the 4 seed are favored to win the Western Conference. The 6 seed Warriors, who are in a tight series as we speak, were the second favorite, and lo and behold, nobody wanted anything to do with the number 1 seed Nuggets, 4th best record in the NBA. They weren't even the top 2 favorite in their own conference. So I feel like they've been undervalued this entire playoffs, and now we get them once again at plus money as a home dog with home field advantage, home court advantage here in this series. And like Andy said, there's definitely some downside risk to Phoenix. They're 1 injury away from being a much weaker team with such a limited lineup. Jokic is the same situation, but he is a triple-double machine. And I think if you're going to play this series price, the value is with the number 1 seed as a plus money underdog.
It's hard to look at these two teams, the Suns and the Nuggets, and look at history from the regular season. They played 4 times this season, both won twice. However, the first 2, Jokic wasn't playing, the first 2, Durant wasn't even a member of the Phoenix Suns. And then the next 2, Jokic wasn't playing due to injury. And now we're really feeling like we're going to see a complete matchup between the Suns and the Nuggets. Ronald, how do you expect to handicap this series going forward, Nuggets versus Suns?
Touched on their matchups this season. Only Jokic only played that first matchup, which was on Christmas Day, and you guys talked about that triple double. Jokic did have a triple double that game. The Nuggets won 128-125 in OT on Christmas Day. Jokic had 41 points, 15 rebounds, 15 assists in 44 minutes. I think Aiden just doesn't match up well defensively against Jokic, and that's going to be a problem. The other problem is both of these teams have a really tight rotation in the playoffs so far this season, but more so on the Sun side here, you can see KD and Booker leading the league in playoff minutes, minutes per game, 43 plus minutes each, and then Chris Paul's not that far behind with 38 minutes. Even though the Nuggets also have an 8-man rotation currently, the 6 through 8 guys in the rotation actually play a good chunk of minutes, so they don't have to see Jamal Murray or Kevin Porter or any of these key guys and Jokic play above 40 minutes if they don't need to. I do think that the extended rest for game one does help the Suns here, but I just don't know if it's sustainable for the Suns to be able to have Booker and KD play 43 minutes a game in a 7-game series, which I think it's going to get to that point. The one plus that they do have is campaign. Only he came back in the last game against that series versus the Clippers. He only played 3 minutes, but if he can work himself back up to the 18, 20 minutes, normal 20 minutes that he had during the regular season, that might be a positive for them. But overall, I just think the Nuggets are too deep as far as versatility on their side for this series here. I think the Suns take it probably in 7 games. Sorry, the
This
Nuggets take
does
it in 7 games.
this does feel like a series that's going to be competitive. Of course, the closer that we get to the finals, the more competitive we expect the series to be.